we doing today, Chicago Cubs fans? And welcome back to another edition of Cubs Daily. My name is Steven Ryan. The Cubs find a reliever on the market and signed left-hander Genesis Cabrera. We go over a big trade rumor. I'm very unlikely going to happen, but fun to dive into these kind of conversations. We're going to show you the RBI leaders in the National League and a Game 1 preview of the series against the Reds today. But before we get into all that, let me know how you guys are doing on this beautiful Friday. We're entering into June. This is where we can start making some big-time separation here for the Chicago Cubs. You got the Reds this weekend. We're going to start facing some more division opponents here rather soon. And I want to hear your guys' comments about the trade proposal I am about to put out there. I didn't create this myself. This was made by a writer at Yahoo, but I want to hear all your thoughts. So let's hop right into it. The Cubs signed left-hander Genesis Cabrera to a rest of the regular season deal, I believe. I mean, let's take a look at his career numbers. Genesis, he's got a 1.35 WHIP, 3.88 ERA. He has been a okay reliever during his time in the big leagues, no doubt about it. But again, this right now for the Cubs is about trial and error. And I know that sounds very, very harsh and, a little too direct, but this is what the Cubs need. Maybe the Cubs found something in his mechanics that they like and that they can tweak, and he can come give this Chicago Cubs team a few solid innings. He was just on the Mets. He's been a Blue Jay. He's been a Cardinal, etc., etc. But he throws heat. He's a left-hander. The Cubs only have one left-hander right now, and that's Mr. Thielbar, and we need more help. So you really never know who's going to plug and play, fit into what situation, etc., etc. But if Genesis can come eat some of these innings for the Cubs and he can pitch relatively well, then he's got a spot on this bullpen. There's no doubt about it. Now, the Cubs bullpen, which has been third in ERA in the month of May, might I add. Again, the level of competition does play a factor into that, but it seems to be turning a corner in terms of becoming a little more stable and a little more helpful for this Cubs team. So, excited to have Genesis added to the squad. Curious to see how he may help. Now, Genesis only might be here to help supplement the bullpen until we get Mr. Porter Hodge back, etc., etc. So, let's see how Genesis does for the Cubs. Again, another left-hander to help out with Caleb Thielbar is always a nice try, in my opinion. I think it's worth a shot, no doubt about it. Now, on to more fun things, all right? It was a few weeks ago, Jeff Passan talked about the Pirates and where they're at with Paul Skenes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I need to preface this because I made a TikTok about it the other day, and people in the comments are going crazy. Like, no way. I want to preface this now. I do not think the Cubs would offer this. I do not think the Pirates would accept this deal either. Paul Skenes has 4.5 years of control left on his contract, okay? That is so much for that style of pitcher that I don't think the Cubs could technically offer enough for Paul Skenes. I think a couple of years are going to have to go on down the road. Technically, he would be losing value at that point. But I don't think this is going to happen, but it's always fun to discuss. And honestly, I'm always going to have my ears perk up when a generational pitcher is on the block, okay? Now, they've already refuted the rumors. They're saying they're not trading Paul Skenes, etc., etc. Bottom line, the Pirates aren't going to pay Paul Skenes. The Pirates don't even want to pay their offense. They haven't given out a multi-year contract to a free agent in over 20 years. So, we know they're going to get rid of him. It's just when. That's really the question. I don't think it's happening this year. I don't think it's happening next year. I think it's the following year that the Pirates start strongly considering trading Paul Skenes. So, let's take a look at this mock trade. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. It's going to seem like a lot to give up, but honestly, for the level and quality of pitcher that Paul Skenes is, I know the way Cade Horton has been pitching recently and Matt Shaw's been playing. This is almost a deal for me. I'm not going to lie to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is almost a deal. Now, this is as is. If I get 4.5 years of Paul Skenes on my team, this is a good deal in my opinion. I know Matt Shaw's been playing excellent ever since he's been called back up. And Cade Horton does have the potential to be a frontline ace. Do not get me wrong. But anything can happen to anyone you see here on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, for instance, Paul Skenes tomorrow could, something could go wrong. He might have Tommy John surgery. Matt Shaw could finally be figured out by Major League Pitching. He never recovers again. There's just a lot of different things, a lot of different factors to play into this. But at the surface, Matt Shaw, although he has been showing signs of improvement, is not proven. Cade Horton still has to pitch a lot more Major League innings. And Owen Casey has not had a Major League at bat yet. So I want to hear your guys' and gals' thoughts on this trade below in the comment section. Yep, I understand. If you're going to say no way, say no way. But give me some reasons why. I know Matt Shaw's been playing well as of late. I know Cade Horton has been playing well as of late. But Paul Skenes is exactly what the Chicago Cubs need. We need a guy that we can plug in the number one spot. Justin Steele is great. Shota Imanaga is great. But guys and gals, we've been talking about this all the time here on Cubs Daily. The Cubs need a front line ace. If the Cubs get a guy who's the number one, and Shota and Justin Steele drop to the 2 and 3, that just makes this team so much more deadly. And then when we enter into the postseason specifically, when you got Skenes 1, Shota 2, and Justin Steele 3, and then you got Ty Young and Boyd coming out of the bullpen, you are loaded, okay? You are in real good shape. Now, I want to preface again, I know the Pirates probably wouldn't trade him to a division opponent. Again, the Pirates should be about getting the best package for Paul Skenes, okay? And if the Cubs offer that, that's what happens. The Cubs offer it. They traded us to Ramos Ramirez before. Why wouldn't they do it again? They are not a conventional Major League team. They don't do things by the book. They need to, the Pirates need to really start thinking about the trade here because he's losing value every time he goes out to pitch. Again, a generational pitcher. He throws 103. He's in line for the NL Cy Young. I am okay if the Cubs want to go get him. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. If it's too much, if it's too little, etc., I want to hear everyone's thoughts. Now, another fun topic is let's talk about who's leading the league in RBIs. Now, I put National League. I went and looked last night. It's all of Major League Baseball. Seiya and PCA lead the league in runs batted in. What a fun thing to see at the top of the leaderboard. I haven't seen that as a Cub fan in a very long time. Now that we have two of them up there. And another guy, the guy who's tied for second with PCA, Rafael Devers, who we've had here on the channel before, talking about a potential trade with him. He has turned his season around and is absolutely driving in the runs for Boston. But Seiya and PCA have been absolutely major this year. The growth of Seiya is an underrated and yet not very talked about change to this Cubs offense. Again, this is the power of Kyle Tucker, ladies and gentlemen. You plug in Kyle Tucker in the 2 or 3 spot in your batting lineup, either Seiya's batting in front of him and he's protecting him, or he's batting behind Kyle Tucker. Seiya's been getting a lot more pitches to hit, and he has been opportunistic in cashing in. And that has led to the Cubs scoring the most runs in all of Major League Baseball as a team, one of the highest offensive productions in all of Major League Baseball, and one of the highest batting averages as a team in Major League Baseball. So, shout out to Seiya and PCA leading the way in this chart. And then obviously third on the team is Kyle Tucker. He's got about 39 RBIs, and we just know I'll say this about those 39 RBIs. I want to say about 27 of them are big-time RBIs. Like, they give us the lead or they get us on the board, etc., etc. Everything Kyle Tucker does is just in production and in sync with what this lineup truly needs to be successful all season long. So, fun to see those two at the top, and I hope to see them in the top 5 towards the season's end. Game 1 at Wrigley is at 1:20, ladies and gentlemen. And Craig Counsell is back to his up to his old tricks. The Cubs have not announced their starting pitcher yet. I looked this morning. I'm recording it. You guys will see this. I'm going to guess it's going to be Chris Flexen. I'm thinking Chris Flexen will be on the bump for the Cubs here, maybe. Because, again, I think this is Ben Brown's spot. And Ben Brown has unfortunately just been struggle busing these past few weeks. I think there's a place for Ben Brown in our bullpen. He's got good stuff. Just something needs to be tweaked and something needs to be figured out for that young man. But here's how it's going to work out, ladies and gentlemen. The rest of the weekend, I am going to be off, unfortunately. But I plan on being back Monday. We will review the Reds series. Hopefully the Cubs get 2 of 3. Maybe even sweep them a little bit. And then we'll continue on Cubs Daily with more fun, more baseball talk, and all that good stuff. So I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic weekend, and I will see you all then.